So hey guys, in this video we're going to be building an Airbnb clone with Svelte and Tailwind CSS. So in this project you're going to be learning so many things about Svelte and Tailwind CSS. So you're going to put your front end skills to the test because this thing is not easy. There are a lot of conditional checks, a lot of things going there and there. And we're going to be building it mobile first and stuff like that. First of all, we have a grid. You can notice that there are some that says superhost, some there are beds, while some don't have beds. Uh, you can use that we can search. So we'll get to the search feature in a moment. So make sure you calm down. Before I almost forget, this app is in the description down below. It is deployed, and I'm going to show you how you can deploy it at the ending of the video. So so you can check it out in the description below along with the source code, the starter file. So if you want to get started, you check out the starter file. But we'll get to that in a minute. So let's get to the search feature that you have been dying to see. So I did to this beautiful UI. We can search it and say something like vast show us in branch. We click on search and you can see that we have three rooms. We can come again and search uh or let's search a different one. Okay, yeah. So it shows us, we search and we see that one. And we can see the number of stays this has. We can yeah, we can go back as well. We just come here. And this we have this nice little dialogue. So this thing is also very responsive as well. It's also very responsive, so you can come here. It's not it's gonna be shrinking. It goes to 2 by 2, then 2 by 1. So and now it has shrinked. Okay, so that's the demo for it in a nutshell. If you want to play with it, you can play with it in the description down below. It's there. And so let's go on. But let's quickly start without wasting any more of your time. Okay, so what you want to do is that you want to come to Airbnb dash Airbnb starter branch. So you want to click on this starter branch and you want to download the code. So when you download the code, you're going to extract it and it's going to look something like this, exactly like this in Visual Studio Code. So what you want to do is that you want to come to the source. There are a bunch of images here that we're not using. I don't know why that's here. So we can delete photo 4, this. You can, okay. You can still delete profile photo. Okay. Okay, now we have everything that we are using. So I'm going to go through it. You can notice that in the grid, everything is empty. We just have some imports next in the grid component. And by the way, control space to auto import this grid component. I'm missing. And if we go to that grid component, everything is just empty as well because we are starting from complete scratch. So what we want to do now is to can't just start running this project immediately. What we have to do is that we have to install the dependencies. You notice that the node modules file is not here or node modules folder. So what I want to do now is I want to run npm install to install the dependency. So I'm going to run this because this takes a lot of time and we'll come after. So that should install the dependencies for you. As you can see, you have the node modules file here. You can just run this command and to get that node modules folder for you. I think it's about 50 MB. It's not really a lot. So what we want to do is that I want to run npm run dev. I want to start running the application. So npm run dev. We want to make sure that there are no errors. Okay. So what we want to do now is I want to come here and want to open the final file here. As you can see, I want to open the final file so that we know what we are building to, so that you can see our progress as we are coming up. Okay. This is what the final file look like. Pretty nice, right? Okay, now we get a blank screen. We're building this mobile first. So what that means is that we're building the mobile side of the website actually first. So let's come to the routes. Let's start getting started. We're going to start with the header. I want you to notice that the header is actually the hardest part of this website, not the grid. Dead. Cannot find package adapter.netlist file. Okay, just leave that. If you install the package as a JSON file, you're not supposed to have this. And just forget about that for now. Because the adapter.netlist file is actually when you want to deploy the project. So let's just comment that out for now. Let's just leave that for now. Okay. So that's a problem. Okay, so now let's come to the header.cells and start building this. So you notice that we have a lot of three stuff imported. This is our data set. This is the logo. This is the string similarity that will help us with the search and the grid. Okay, so what we want to do is that we want to start with the header. Okay, so you notice that where we're starting from is actually this this big overlay here. And what is here, this dark spot is called the backdrop. Okay. Okay, so that big dark spot is called the backdrop. Okay. What I want to do is I want to start from the backdrop, not the navbar. I'm gonna say backdrop. We're gonna inside the header, we're gonna have a div of backdrop. And you don't have to put this. I just like putting the classes so that we know where we are going to. Or we could remove the class backdrop. It's not as if it has a special tailwind CSS class. So we're gonna give it a dark background color as you see there. So bgrgba 0, 0, 0, 0.1. We want to give it absolute positioning so that it stays on top of the body. We want to give it a full width and a full height. It's like kind of like an overhead, but the height it has to be 100 bytes. Okay, so you see that the body is now darkened, like as if it's resting on the body, and that's exactly what we want. So let's continue. Okay, okay, so let's continue. So what we're gonna do inside here, we have this part of it. Okay, this part, the white stuff. So here we're gonna give it a class of shadow large, and make sure that you have this tailwind css class. Okay, sorry, this tailwind css extension, because if you don't have this extension, I don't think you should be watching this video. This extension is super important. It helps with autocomplete. It's like the best autocomplete extension. Like for example, if I click sha, it's going to show me the different shadow sizes with the different css classes. Very helpful, right? Shadow large, they want to give everything items center. Okay, so this is from Flexbox. We're going to be using Flexbox here in a moment. So okay, we're going to give me item start set, not item center. We'll give this some padding pt5. We'll make this white so that it will stand out. Okay, we'll give this a height of 28 rems, and that is from the Figma file. Absolute positioning and width full. Now it looks like actually like this. Nice, right? Okay, so now we have to continue. Oh damn, I don't know why I keep saving this file. Tailwind CSS is pretty nice to work with that extension, so make sure you guys have that extension. Very important. So now we are gonna have the div housing the inputs and those buttons. So I'm gonna have that div. I'm gonna have a span And this span is actually for the first thing that we have here is actually for this close button here. Actually, so for this span, you notice that in these starter files, if I quickly come to the app.css, we have material fonts installed. So we have a font library, sorry, an icon library. Okay, so we're going to access that icon library in a moment. So we'll just say something close small letter. I'm going to give this a class of, okay, let's do it like this, material dash icons. Sorry guys, material dash icons. Oops, sorry. Why is it material dash icons? Fine, I keep hitting the backspace button by mistake. Material symbols. I think it's symbols outlined. Now we should have a close button. See this? Yes, for some reason it's still not working. Okay, yeah, symbols. It's not supposed to be an S here. So refresh this in a moment. Let it get that new HTTP request. So it's still not working, which is weird. Okay, so we'll come back to that in a moment. Okay, so we have our span, which is nice. And we're gonna keep moving forward. So what I want to do is I want to have the first input. First input is going to be have a placeholder of the location. By the second input, I'm going to give it a placeholder of guest. So let's style both inputs. But before we style the inputs or anything, we're going to have the last element, which is going to be the button. The button is going to have a search and stuff like that. So let's do this. Why isn't this working? Why isn't this working? So just give me a moment, please, so I can kind of understand why this isn't working. This icon library isn't working. Quite surprised actually. Okay, so let's go to the material icons website. So material symbols. Let's go to their website and we'll copy a class there. Let's keep on going. So on this div, we want to give this div some classes as well. We want to give it a class of flex. We want to give it justify center. We want to give it flex colon because on mobile devices it's like that. Then if we're going above mobile devices, we're going to give it flex row. So which is going to look something like this. So if we go beyond a certain breakpoint, it's going to turn into a row back, and that's how we want it to be. M dash auto to center it, and what accompanies that is a width of 90% and a PB of 3. So a padding bottom to essentially give it a padding bottom from the line from the bottom. Alright, now that looks nice. So the individual inputs themselves need a lot of work. So for the input, what we're going to do, I'm going to give this shadow, okay, sorry, shadow dash large, some shadow. I'm going to give this padding of 3, and we're going to give this a width of 4/5. So the width of 4 feet is essentially 80%. So it's going to look something like this. The width of 4/5 is essentially 80%. But when we go higher than the set viewport, we want this to be mid higher. we want this to be 33.3%. Because you notice that when we do go higher, okay, when we do go higher, this button comes like this button comes here, and we're sharing the width a little bit differently, okay. So let's come back. Okay. See? So we for those so let's just style this input as well. I think it's going to be exactly the same thing. So I think it's going to be exactly the same thing. It should be. So let's just have a class here. Let's just copy this exact same styles because why not? Okay, now we have the exact same inputs. So we might need to give them some like margin to kind of like space them apart. But wait, that's not actually necessary here. It's not necessary. We'll give this a class, give it a width of 100 pixels. After giving it a width of 100 pixels, we'll give it a text of white. Give it BG, dynamic value, remember. EB is the hexadecimal color, 5757. Okay, that pink color. What we do, so we want to give it padding of 3. Rounded corners, of course, so rounded large. Button styles here are quite a lot here. Or maybe we might even give it rounded 2XL, 2 extra large. Oh, or just extra large, might be okay. Okay, so the button is absolutely positioned. So what that means is that it's taken out of the normal document flow and we're positioning it somewhere else differently on mobile and somewhere else differently on desktop. As you can see on desktop is here, while on desktop it is here, while on mobile it is at the bottom. So that is the work of absolute positioning. So let's just start writing it here. Okay, let's have a full window now so that we have more space to work with. Absolute positioning, and that strips it out of the normal document flow. So what do we want to use absolute positioning to do? So it's simple. On mobile, on desktop screens, I want to give it bottom 0, and that's just what we want to give it. And maybe we might give it M-3 for some margin. Okay, looking okay. So why on medium screens and desktop screens? Medium screens, we want to give it right dash 64. Large screens, we want to give it colon. That's how we large screens. So large means from 100 and something, 1000 something pixels and above. We want to give it top 0. So that should look something like this. So you can see the way it is. That's not good. That is the work of Flexbox here. So we can give this items start. That should fix that. Okay, yeah, that doesn't fix that. So let's go back. Let's go back and quickly fix that. I thought item start was going to fix that. So for large screens, we could give the button a height. If for large screens, height dash 48 pixels. Okay. Says div. Okay, this is Visual Studio Code. Okay, let's come here now. Okay, so that's looking okay. Or we might want to drag it down a little bit. It's looking okay. We can make finishing touches when we are done because we don't have time. We have to start building some functionality to this. And as we come here, we need to come to the close so that we get that icon and we start building this quickly. So it's just material symbols outline. I guess the material icon class is not needed. Okay, so you can just copy everything here. So where's our span? Our little span might have some styles too. We have that here. Okay, so our little span also has some classes. So first of all, we have to give this cursor a pointer to make the cursor pointer. And what we want to do now is that we want to absolutely position this. So absolute, give this top 0 and left 3. So that's going to look something like this. Or maybe we can give it top 2. Okay, that's better. You can come here, you can see the cursor is pointer. So what we want to do is that when we hit that button, it ought to remove it from the UI. So let's begin coding that functionality right now. But before we continue, let's keep on building the UI. We haven't done the navbar and some other important things. So we have just been building one part. I told you guys that the header is like the hardest part of this website. So we better get going. So that is the ending of the backdrop and stuff. We don't want our navbar to be inside the backdrop. Okay. So this is where the backdrop is. Yeah, this is where the backdrop is. I want to go outside of this and I want to start building the navbar. Inside the nav, we'll have the A tag. What the A tag will have is you have an image and the source will be logo. So you want to remember that we have already imported that logo before. UL, what the UL is going to have an li of our the own li just going to be that this set of inputs right over here. Sorry, this set of inputs right over here. This nice looking stuff. Okay, I didn't even know the difference. So I think something is a bit wrong here. Something is a bit wrong here. Oh yeah, we didn't give this BG white. BG white. Okay, yeah, so we are giving this essentially this one so it stands out from the background. Okay, so navbar UI. So I said we should make a function that can toggle this UI. So to do that, that is super simple. You just come here and say let none be equal to false. And we'll say something like come here, say class colon none. Okay, so none is a display of non-class essentially. So if none is true, it's going to remove this. So what we have to do is that we'll code a function to actually kind of toggle this. So say constant remove backdrop. Remove backdrop is going to be equal to a function. What it's going to do is that it's going to set none to equal to what the opposite of what it was. So if true to false, false to true, that kind of stuff. So what I want to do is I want to attach that to here. I'll say on colon click remove backdrop. So now we can remove that and we see the normal UI. So it's open by default. Maybe it opens it when none is actually false, which is weird. None, true. That's going to remove it by default. We don't want to see it by default because we are building navbar parts of the website. Now, okay, so what we want to do inside the URL of li, there are a bunch of stuff that is going on here. A bunch of stuff. We're going to keep it simple first. Let's keeping everything simple. We're just getting our element ready. So we have an input. We have two inputs here. Then we have the actual span of search. And again, this is going to be a material icon class. So what we'll do is I will copy the old one that we have before. I will change this to a search. And that should get us the search logo. As we see there, it gets us the search logo. So let's start doing this now. So first of all, we're going to start with classes on the navbar. Class navbar, I want to give it flex. We want to give it justify center. That is when it's on mobile screens, remember. We want to give this m-auto to center it. Flex colon. You notice that on mobile screens, it's not going to be on a row because there's no space for that. Okay. That is what we're doing there. And I think we can just leave it like that. Or we might give it a margin top of 3. So what I want to do now, on large screens, justify content should be justified between. As you can see here, the space, if we go to large screens, it's spaced between this. That's what we're doing there. Come here, it should be space between. Okay, it's under development actually. Ours is under development. Okay, so ours is under development. So large, it should be justified between. And on extra large screens, we want it to have a width of a width of 1200 pixels. Finally, last but not least, large should have a flex of. So now you should be able to see that effect take place right there. Okay. So the UL classes. So the UL, first of all, this one, this guy has some classes. What we want to just do is say text dash center. Okay. So here we might even give this a class of m dash auto that's going to center it for when it's here. Okay, so we want to leave that m dot auto class for large screens and above. Okay, so that it does not interfere. Oh, we're supposed to do it for only mobile screens actually. Oh, sorry guys. I don't know why I started doing this actually. I'm gonna get rid of this in a minute. Let's leave this out. Let's leave this part out first. We can always come and do finishing touches. For the UL class flex, justify content center. As always, center for small screens. Large, you want to give this justify content between for big screens. Oh, sorry. I'm just repeating the navbar styles. When I give this flex, right? Actually, we're not giving this flex, actually. Sorry. What I'm giving this is m dash auto large. What we want to do is I want to give it margin of 0 on large screens. Okay. M dash auto center it on mobile screen. While on large screens, we might want to remove the margin. So, okay, for the li that is going to have this so much input now, I want to give it a shadow dash large. As you can see, this guy has a shadow. It's kind of coming to life. Our nice little input. So as a shadow large flex rounded, it has rounded corners. So rounded large, it will give us a width of 300 pixel. Okay. So now the input. The input classes are almost the same thing. We give the input I don't think it's okay. We'll give the input outline none. We'll give the input a width of dash 250. That's 40% of the width. I'm padding 3. So we'll come here, copy this, and we'll give it to the next input. So both inputs take up 40% of the width. And what we want to do for the last one, we want to give it a width of 20%. So width dash 1/5. Okay, sorry, we're already giving this a class. So let's remove this. So width 1/5. Okay, nice. So it has a form, I think, but it hasn't quite come out yet. And I don't know why the input is not okay. So it's coming together. It's coming together. It's coming together. So let's continue. On the second input, okay, the second input, what do we want to do? So now let's please continue. So for the middle input, what we want to do for the one in the middle, I want to give it some classes, some border classes here. So just want to give it border left and border right. So border dash left. So this is going to give border left width 2 and border dash left dash slate 300. I want to give this a border of r dash 2. I want to give it border right, border left, border r. I want to give it that dash slate color, slate dash 300. Okay. Why aren't we able to see our changes? Something is not right. So we'll give this a placeholder of guest. Come back. We don't even see our placeholder anymore, sir. Like our changes are not showing up in the browser or something like that. Okay, it's supposed to be showing, but why don't we see our place? Hold up. Let's take this to large screens. So let's see why this isn't working. Can we give it a class of none? Honda. Should be outline dash none, not class of none. So that was actually super scary, right? Actually super scary. Okay, so let's see. On the other one, we also give it class of none. So outline dash none. Okay, now you can see it has come to play. So we want to give this input here. We might want to give it some rounded corners here, so it has come out essentially. So what we want to do to the span here, we'll give it p-3 to make it the same, with. So what we want to do is that when we type here, we want it to trigger that stuff as well. So what we want to say here on click. So this video is gonna be a long video, so bear with me, guys. I just checked the time in the video, and I'm surprised that it's about 30 minutes into the video. Wow. Okay, so remove backdrop. So now this guy comes in. So we have pretty much done with the header, and the header is the hardest part of this website. We're pretty much done with it, but we're done with the styling of it. So what we want to do is the functional part of the website now. So we want to do the functional part of the website, the functional part of the header, and this is where the hard part comes into play. So first of all, I want to say constant. I want to define a function to search. So search properties, just call it search properties by city. Okay, and we're passing the input. So this function will taking an input, search properties by city. Okay, this is supposed to be equal to an arrow function. Okay. Oh yeah, my bad. Equal. Oh, how is this done again? Ah, damn it. Certain things. So your brain just keeps some certain things sometimes. Okay, yeah, this is how it's done. So what we want to do now is that we want to search it. So first of all, we want to convert. So this input is going to be essentially the input from the input. So we want to convert the user input to lowercase. So to do that, we'll just say constant user input, which is the input that we took before. When I say input, which is the input from here actually, input dot to lower case. That's a function that's going to convert the input to lowercase. So what I want to do now is say filter properties based on the closest city name match. So I'm going to filter, I want to do what exactly that function does. So we're going to say constant matches, and here we are going to use string similarity. So what I'm going to say is matches, then find best match, find best match, a property string similarity. Here we're going to pass in the user input, and we're going to pass in the data set dot map, because surprisingly the second argument has to be an array of stuff, the stuff I want to match it to. So properties. So what map essentially does is that it returns an array. So properties, we're gonna say here property dot city. So I hope I'm not too fast. I just don't want this video to be extremely long, right? Okay, pass it that like that. So we can console the log matches. So if we wanted to see it, then say const closest match. So those are matches. This is now the closest match. Let's uppercase this. Okay, so closest match is going to be equal to matches on our matches. As the matches of best match the target. So we'll just put a comment that says get closest 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 match. Okay, so the comments will help you understand what essentially what's going on here. We're gonna see something const filtered. Say const actually say filter. So what I want to do now, when you have the closest match, what I want to do is I want to take the original array and I want to remove the one that are not equal to the closest match, right? So that we have the array of only the closest matches. Okay, we'll call this constant filtered properties. Oh, we don't have to call it filtered properties. We'll call it constant what do we call this now? So you understand this. F if you call it FP, that will not make sense at all. So constant filtered properties. I think filtered properties is the right word to use here. Okay, so say filter property is going to be equal to data set dot filter. So we're taking the original array now. We're going to say property dot filter. And can you say prop? So what I want to say, what I want to do is I want to say return property prop, sorry, dot city dot to lowercase equal to closest match. We really want to return the ones that are equal to the closest match. Any other one should be. And last but not the least, we want to click say return filter properties. So this function is going to search it. Okay. We have our remove backup function, but one more function that we have to have is filter data. So const filter underscore data is going to be equal to const filter data. So what we want to do here, we want to check if there is input. And by the way, what we want to do here, I'll say something like let input be equal to an empty array. I want to bind the input to the location input, to bind colon value input. So now that we're gonna get that. And one other one is that we also need to have a variable called let search results. So you're gonna see why we're gonna have to use this in a moment. Okay, you will notice that filter property only exists in this function. Search properties is gonna be the global one. Okay, so what I want to do, I want to say search results is going to be equal to search cities by properties and want to pass in the input, right? So the reason why I do is now search result is now like a global variable to everybody that we can access inside our code. Then we want to say, we also want to have a function called new data as well. We want to have variable. So new data is going to be equal to search results. Essentially, new data is equal to this. And the reason why we are using new data is that we're passing it to the grid, right? We're going to have to pass it to the grid. Okay. So essentially, passing it like this is the same thing as passing it as new data equal to new data like this. So passing new data to the grid. And you can pass set results to the grid, or it doesn't really matter there. So if there's no input, what we just want to just do is simple. What we want to do is say new data to equal the original data set. So this is why we are essentially using new data, not search result, because new data is a bit more flexible. It's controlling the data from the grid. Sometimes that's from the grid need to be all of them. Sometimes it does not need to be all of them. So I want to say input should be equal to this. Okay, nice. So what we want to do now is I want to call this function when we remove backdrop as well too. Filter data. None is going to be equal to what none wasn't, and we want to call this function here as like so. So first of all, if we check it now, nothing is still going to show because when after that has done its work, it's going to check if there is input. It's going to run it. There's still two more things we have to do essentially, which are to we have to actually fire this function. And let's just say actions speak louder than words actually. Do we have any errors? Yeah, we have an error. So everything is not perfect yet. But let's look at the error that we have. Okay, it has updated. We still have the error. It says new data is not defined. Oh, sorry, another variable. The new data, we're actually going to define this guy different as a reactive value. It's going to be equal to the data set. Okay, so we're going to refresh this. Now we have that. If we console.log this, let's inspect the console, please. It's actually supposed, it's not, the function should run actually when the input is, when, okay, we also want the function to run here. Sorry. So what we attach here, we attach an onChange event to this input. So onChange or input, okay, so the location input here, on change, or let's do on input, we'll attach filter data. Okay, it says we have the best matches here, but it says cannot read best match of undefined. I see the match here is this particular city. So let's alter our function as needed. Okay, sorry, this should not be find best match. This should be matches the best match. Come here. Saying data set of filter is not a, oh, sorry, data set dot filter. Don't know where it's getting those autocompletes from. So let's check it. Okay, we have that is working, but to really check if it's working, what we want to do is I want to console.log the search result. So I'm taking my time and doing this. I don't want to leave you guys behind. You can see it's 4. If you open up that 4 is this one. If you change it, well, you open, you can see it's 3. It's only the one. So what we just have to just do is that we just have to simply display this. And what are we going to display this? We're going to display this inside the backdrop, right? So we're going to display this here inside the backdrop. We're going to come here, make sure that we're inside the backdrop and also inside this BG class of white. Okay, so okay, I want to make sure that we're not necessarily inside those divs. I want to say div, not inside here, div. We'll indent this for a moment. What I want to do is I want to say class with for fifth and m dash auto. I'm going to do a simple if check. If search results What I want to do is I want to, if there's search result, I want to look through each individual search result. So look through each individual search result as result. Okay. Then we'll have a div for each one of them. We'll have a div class, because remember it has the location icon. So class, we're gonna give this flex items center. Item center here is super important, so make sure you add it. Item center, align item center, and m-3 finish. So what I want to do is I want to have the paragraph. I'm going to have the some material symbols. I hope I get it right this time. I hope I get it right, because I always make mistake here, and I have the material line citation bookmark or something outlined. So I say location underscore on, and when I say paragraph tag, when I output results dot city colon results. Result dot city is the city, and result dot country. You see internal error. What is going on here? Okay, search result. Okay, search result, not search result. Okay. See location on. We see the location. Oh yeah, that's not working. Damn it, sir. Damn it. Didn't get it right. Oh, material symbol. Why don't I always get the spelling of this thing right? Let's come here. Let's paste it here. Save, refresh. Refresh this. Why isn't it coming out? Maybe it's because of the internet. It's going to come out later, but as you can see, it's working. Okay. So safe to say that we have that part done and dusted. So let's start going over to the grid. So the problem was quite simple. There was two that is working, as you can see. So perfect. What we have to do is the grid. We used 50 minutes to do the header. I told you that the header was the hardest part of this website. You were like, what am I saying? Okay. Now for a more easier one and more one that is actually more fun, we're going to use the grid. So first thing that we're going to say is export let new data. This is how we import things from Svelte, by saying export it. Okay, it just shows that it's from another file, and the file is from here. Quite funny, right? I always find that quite funny. If it comes to the log, but I am not going to do that. So what we want to do is I want to have two divs. Okay, I have two divs. So first of all, start with the first div because it's easier. We'll give it a class of m-auto mt-5 for margin of 5. I will give it an ID and give it an ID of grid. Doesn't mean that it's the grid, actually an ID, not a class. An ID, not a class. You need to be very important. To be very you need to watch that very well. So flex, if you like, and we're gonna give this justify between. So we're just justifying the image, the H1, and that this thing. So what we want to do here is give this a class. You know that Tailwind strips everything, so we have to even give it each one is no different from a paragraph, actually, and a font of bird. say stays in Finland. Then a paragraph. So set this to new data because this is dynamic. New data dot length stays. So if the new data is 5, it's gonna say 5 stays. Let's just quickly do that in the browser. You can see justify between. But it's kind of flushed up as the edges, as you can see. That's where the idea of grid comes in. Don't worry, we're gonna do that in a moment. This is our grid itself. So first of all, before we start applying classes, let's loop through each of the data. Okay. Each new data as data. What we want to do for each of them, we want to have a card. Again, not necessary, just for description purposes. So what I want to do is I want to say source is going to be equal to data dot photo. Save that. Let's make sure that the images are showing. Nice. Now that the images are showing, we can get to actually do stuff. So first of all, I want to have a flex of, not actually a flex, but let's just write this. Let's just write this. Not all of them have data of superhost. If we come to the data for a minute, for example, now you can see superhost false, superhost true. So I want to check if there is superhost, we will now show superhost. So if superhost, which is in the sense, if you say something like if superhost, the same as say if superhost equal to true. It's just like a hack. You don't have to write that. It makes more sense like that. If say if like this. So what I want to do is she might just show a paragraph of superhost. What we'll do here is I'll give you some classes as well. We'll give you the classes of border dash 2 with 110 pixels. 110 pixels so it does not overflow. Border dash black px1 padding on the x axis on the left and right one. I want to give you say font bold. Okay. Text small and rounded. Uh, oh no, rounded is to Excel. So if we run it right now, it's going to give us internal error. So let's look at where the internal error is coming from. If superhost, okay, yeah, data.superhost. Let's remove that. Okay, you can see we'll come here. You can see superhost. Some have, some don't have it. Superhost. We might not even have to even give it a padding set. This one might even be unnecessary. Okay, we'll come back to that. So is okay. So let's continue. So we'll have another flex. We'll have a div class of flex. And we see flex for mobile screens upwards. Okay. Paragraph margin left dash 2. And I have a data dot type. So this is show sorry, it is gonna show if it's entire apartment, full, blah blah blah, and some other stuff. So if beds, remember everyone doesn't have a bed in their house for listing in this case. It's still the same thing with the superhouse. If beds want to show paragraph data dot beds. So if the beds is going to show paragraph dot data dot beds, or the rest is not going to show anything. Okay, so we want to have another flex div, and this one is actually pretty important. This one is for the rating. So that's expand dot material symbols. Symbols outlined. supposed to be one L material symbols outlines. We want to have the star here. Give this a class of BG EB 57 sorry EB 5757 5757. Want to give that a flex, then give this uh, data dot rating. Oh, sorry, another internal error. Where is that coming from now? Is it rating? Come here, you can see this here. Let's try and spot the error first. Okay, sorry, I was saying if beds here. If data dot beds. You can see the star. Damn it. You can see everything here, Sha. Apartments, data dot beds. Supposed to have that star. Okay, yeah. Math. We spelled it wrong here. Material. Oh yeah, nice. Or maybe we'll give it foreground color instead of background color text. I think that's not even supposed to be the right icon itself. And last but not the least, outside this div, we want to say a p font bold data.title. Yeah, we see this here. So now we have to do is we have to put this in a grid. What we're going to say is grid colon 1. For small screens, remember, mobile first. Grid colon 1. We're going to give this an ID of grid. So for ID of grid, it's not everything. Tailwindcss is not can't do it. I'm doing this because of the max width purposes. It's not everything that we use Tailwindcss to do. Just a tiny bit of our own styles. So for max width, I give this 1200 pixels and a margin of auto. Of course, you could do the margin auto part, but the max width part, I didn't quite see when I did it with Tailwindcss. Some weird things were happening. I couldn't do it. Max width below 1200 pixels. When I give the grid a max width, you might even want to give it a max width of maybe you can give it a max width of 90%. So this up for modification. Nice, nice. If you come to a mobile device now, you can see that shrinks up nicely. What you're just really missing is a bunch of things here. So on the image, you want to give the image some classes. Class with full height. Height is supposed to be a specific height though. Height 267 pixels and rounded 2XL. Boom, boom, like that is designed for mobile. So they come out already. We'll deal with this superhost in a moment, but it has already come out. I just have to just do a look at superhost. What is going on here? I guess. By the way, this should be in caps. Could do this with CSS, but right. Okay, so say 100. Save. Nice. Looking wow. See, mobile first is awesome. I would just have to just do simply nicely. Medium. Grid colon 2 for medium and for large or extra large depending on your preference. Let's go extra large. Grid colon 3. Last but not the least, you're gonna see this in a moment. Okay, so stretches. Wait. It's not supposed to stretch. Let's save this. I hope this is saved. Refresh. Why isn't it changing? So we're giving this to the card. Oh damn it. I'm so silly sometimes. Let's remove that. Okay. You cannot give it to each card. We want to give it to the container housing the card. If you give it to each card is going to have that grid. Each card is going to be its own grid. So we want to give it these classes. Sorry. So this is going to be like the father container of everything. X everything inside here. Put everything inside here. Class. This okay. Paste that there. Take the idea of grid. I will put it here. Why isn't that working? Okay. Okay, there's already a div here. Okay, let's remove this. Oh, damn it. Oh no, let's remove the outer div. So make sure that okay, this should work now. Can't believe we're fighting with CSS grid. We forgot to give it a display of grid, so grid like so. Aha, now it works. Suppose we forgot to give it a display of grid and make sure that it's outside the each block. There's only one div outside this each block. And one more thing, as I showed you, we have to give this a gap. So gap dash 8. It's like margin but better. Told you it's like margin but better. Now here, this part we have to make it flex. On mobile, it is not flexed. So that's why it's like yeah, mobile first. Okay, so where's it? It's here. What we want to just do here is class. Anything above medium should be flexed. Uh, justify between. Don't worry, we don't have to do this. If flex is not yet justified between, it's gonna be useless. MT2 margin top. That should space it away from the image like this. So we have a problem. This guy should not be inside the flex. The title is not inside the flex. Okay, so that should remove the title. Better. And we are done. Like that, we are already done. Told you what we did here, that will be done with everything. So if you come here and section like Olu, okay, you can notice that it affects it. It affects it. Just some finishing touches because passing that new data in and it's affecting it. What we have to do is that when we search here, we also want to remove the backdrop here. So on click, copy this, come to the result search. Okay, sorry, let's remove it. So it's not a class. Or remove backdrop. So when we come here now and we search for VSA, click on search, it removes it nicely now. We just have to just do it simple now. Make it show there. So we'll bind it to the other input in the nav bar. So we say bind colon value input. don't actually want it to be the imp because the user can type this now, and it's still going to filter it by closest. So we want to show this here instead of that. So what we're actually showing here is not that. We're showing search results of 0.city. And of course, we have to make sure that there is a search result of city first of all, so that we don't just do rubbish. So it does not give us an error when it's not available, right? Search result of 0.city. So this is where we do some conditional check. So if colon, if search results, some conditional checks here. Search results, we show the input, else we just show one regular empty input that is not binded to the search result of city. Save. Okay, now save that. So you don't have to use this and ampersand symbol again, because that's what essentially it was complaining about. Now if we search Vascal, oh yeah, it shows it there. Nice. What we just have to just do is change the color of the foreground here on the search input. So we come here, we say okay, search. Come here to the nav bar BG. I'm sure you should know the color by now. EB 5757. Okay. Sorry, I said BG. Text. Okay. 5757. Okay, now looking good. We have designed it with Flexbox. It is responsive. Well, let's check. So we go down, it's responsive. We go down, shrink, and it's looking, everything is looking nicely done. You could make some finishing touches as you see fit, but I'm going to call this the ending of this video. Thank you for watching. It has been a long video, but you persevered it, and for that I'm going to show you how you can deploy your final challenge. So outcome is as simple. All you do is that you come to this repo, so you come to your own repo, you deploy it to GitHub. So we can search that here. There's an amazing article that I always refer people to. So therefore, see something like how to deploy a Svelte kit app to Netlify. So this is the best things I always use to deploy my app. So don't skip this part of the video. So we have created Svelte kit project. This is already in the file for you. This Netlify adapter, make sure you install this because it was complaining earlier. So make sure you install this Netlify adapter. Then you don't have to worry about anything. Then just push it to GitHub, go to Netlify, then click new site from Git, then deploy. That's it for you. It's deployed. Just checking, making sure that everything is okay. You can come to our search on mobile. It's still very deadly responsive. You can see it's very deadly responsive. Nicely done. You have completed this Airbnb project. It was not easy. We spent 15 minutes on the nav bar, on the header. So that's it, guys.